Okay, we are recording. All right, so this is the beginning of practical application to the Bible. We're going to start with Joshua, the book of Joshua, the Old Testament, and then we'll do a chapter a week, probably on a Friday. And my goal is to glorify God, number one, but also to bring the Bible home. I mean, why are we studying it? It has to have practical applications, and that's my goal. So this is the book that I'm using, the Bible First, and then I'm using this. It's a study guide. I love John MacArthur. Almost every book that I study in the Bible, I buy a book that he has written because he's that good. I also use a second book, and that is like a book for dummies, Bible book for dummies, so we will start with chapter 1, and I will sort of go through and tell you what I know about each verse. So we'll do chapter 1 today. So Joshua is the introduction to Joshua is they are just coming out of the 40 years of wilderness, and God has asked them, excuse me, to go into the promised land. And of course, they didn't do that the last time, and a 12-day trip took them 40 years. So this time they're a little more in tune to getting with the program and getting into the promised land. The promised land presents challenges, but it also presents victories. So we'll see how they do. Let's start. Chapter 1, entering the land of Canaan. Excuse me. Now it came about after the death of Moses and the servant of the Lord that the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' servant, saying, Moses, my servant is dead. Now therefore arise, cross this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, to the sons of Israel. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I have given it to you, just as I spoke to Moses. From the wilderness, this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, as far as the great sea toward the setting of the sun, will be your territory. Just to bring it home, remember the latest against the Jewish people to the river to the sea. This passage in the first book of Joshua tells the land that God's given to the Jewish nation or the Israeli nation. And it's from the river to the sea. So in the political realm, they're saying that the Palestinians own that land. And that is absolutely contrary to what this is saying. So this is saying, and God is very specific of what land he has given to the Israelis. And we'll get into more of that later on in this. So we're picking up with verse 5. No man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Because Moses disobeyed God, he wasn't allowed to go, or that generation, into the promised land. So Joshua, who stood by God absolutely solid, he was permitted to bring his people into the promised land. So, number 6, verse 6, be strong and courageous. And you shall give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to give to them. The one thing you will learn about the book of Joshua is that it's a book on God's faithfulness to his promises. He promises the Israeli people land, the promised land, 40 years before, but they weren't willing to be obedient to him, how he told them to go to it. So they wandered around and I'm serious, it was a 12-day trip and it took them 40 years because of disobedience. But God is always faithful. Just because you've forgotten the promises, he's never forgotten his promises, and he will complete them. Number 7, only be strong and very courageous. Be careful to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, so that you may have success wherever you go. Now, that's a practical application for all of us. We read the Bible, we know what God is asking of us, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. And this verse is saying, don't do what Moses did. Moses went up to get the commandments, came down, and they had built a golden calf. He was so mad he broke that first set of commandments. He had to go back up and get a second set. Verse 8, this book of the law, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. 2 things pop out: prosperity and success. God is promising that if you just obey him, he's going to instruct Israelis how to get into the promised land. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. I have that strong and courageous in my kitchen. I'm visiting my daughter in Ohio right now. I live in Florida. I have it on my counter in the kitchen so that I can see strong and courageous every day. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So I want to tell you, I'm using the American New Version. Let's see, it's called New American Standard Translation. It's called the Ryrie Study Bible. That's the one I'm reading from. So yours may say slightly different, but this is the one that I'm using. Number 10. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the midst of the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourselves, for within 3 days you are to cross this Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess. And this is an interesting fact. Yes. The Let's see here. Somehow that slipped. So let me go back. When the Lord is talking about in 11 to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess it, the Lord actually gave 300,000 square miles to the Israelis. And he told them you have to conquer it. He just didn't, like my pastor, we're studying this same book with my pastor, but he mentioned birds are fed. God provides the food, but they have to go get it and eat it. Same with the Israelis. They had their own land given to him by promise, given to them, 300,000 square miles, 300,000, but they only took 300 or 30,000. So 10% of the land. They just got tired of fighting and stopped. So let that be a practical application. Think of what all God has given you, his promises. I have a book of promises, and he's been faithful in every one. But he promises all the prosperity and success, which we've already read. And it depends on us whether we want to conquer and become victorious over the things that he has given us. So let's read on to verse 12. And to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joshua says, remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, the Lord your God gives you rest and will give you this land. I love that. 14, your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you beyond the Jordan. But you shall cross before your brothers in the battle array, all your valiant warriors, and shall help them. Until the Lord gives your brothers rest, as he gives you, they also possess the land which the Lord your God is giving them. Then you shall return to your own land and possess that which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise. 16. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that you have commanded us, we will do, and wherever you send us, we will go. See, they're a little bit more compliant this time around. Last time they weren't, when Moses was the leader. Now Joshua is the leader, and they're respecting what he's saying, and they're obeying. Just number 17, just as we obeyed Moses in all things, which they did not, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. Let me just back up a minute here. The 40 years took care of a generation, actually several generations, the remainder of the Israelites that wouldn't obey God. He let them die out. And then the newer generation is what they're talking about here. Number 18, anyone who rebels against your command and does not obey your words in all that you command him shall be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. So that's the end of chapter 1. And let me just add a couple things and then we'll talk practically what did we learn. Basically, this is a chapter, like I told you, of God's faithfulness to his promises. Joshua led his people to the promised land. So that's a geographical area. But Jesus, he leads his people to the land of promises. So you don't need to say, oh, well, I want to, let's do something like a house. I want a house. God has promises you to be a provider for anything that your heart desires. So you don't need to say, well, if it's God's will, you don't need to say those under promises. Promises are set in stone, no pun intended, and they will be completed. Now, do you have to conquer that? Yes. Sometimes you do. It isn't just handed to you. You have to conquer it. God wants to build your character and your faith in him. So you have to be victorious in conquering the things that he's directing you. There won't be any doubt of what you're being directed to do. God is very clear. Now, let's go to the book, the book that I told you, John MacArthur's Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. We're only going to do Joshua this time. I may finish it, but the practical applications are questions that I found that I love. So I thought I would share that with you, and you can sit down and ask yourself these questions for chapter 1. Why did I guess this goes to chapter 2. It's talking about just see here. Okay, so that would be chapter 2. When we get into chapter 2, then we'll have some questions about Rahab and the spies, which is really interesting, but how that applies to you. How chapter 1 applies to you is just building your faith in God, obeying God and what he has to say. And remember, the Israelis didn't do it the first time around with Moses, so they had to stay. They were prevented from going into the promised land and receiving everything that God had. So that is today's lesson. Just want to encourage you to read it yourself, whichever Bible you like. And remember that the promised land has challenges, but also victories. See you next week. Chapter 2, Joshua.